The purpose of this experiment was to investigate and to compare the levels of energy released by 3 different food groups: simple carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and proteins. The human body requires energy to drive our complex chemical, mechanical, and electrical systems. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats consumed in our diet provide the energy necessary for our body to keep working. The human body releases energy stored in foods through metabolic processes, by which the bonds of food molecules are broken and new compounds with lower energy bonds are formed. For instance, enzymes break carbohydrates into glucose and other sugars, fats into glycerol and fatty acids, and proteins into amino acids. Cells usually store energy temporarily in phosphate bonds of small, high-energy compound called ATP. The ATP is made out of an adrenaline base, a ribosome sugar, and 3 phosphate groups. Energy is released from ATP when one phosphate bond is broken in a hydrolysis reaction. Like most chemical reactions, the hydrolysis of ATP to ADP is reversible. When carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are broken down, the energy is released and is used to reattach the phosphate molecule to the ADP, turning it back into ATP. The basic unit of energy in SI system is the joule. In chemistry, a scientist also measures heat using a unit called calories. Unit calories, with an uppercase C, is used in a dietary terminology. 1 calorie is equal to the physical kilocalorie, or 1,000 calories. The energy content of food can be determined by burning a portion of it and capturing the heat released into a measuring amount of water. For this purpose, scientists use a device called a calorimeter. According to the law of conservation of energy, the energy stored in the organic compound will transform into thermal energy during the combustion. The energy content of the food is expressed by this equation. The major sources of calories in the human diet are proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and amino acids. Knowing how much energy human cells can extract from different types of food is vital to good health. Although energy is only one measure of nutritional value, it is crucial to keep a healthy weight. In comparison to simple and complex carbohydrates, proteins molecules are more complex than protein and contain more energy than simple and complex carbohydrates. Here is a list of the materials I used for my investigation of the calorie contents of different food groups. Here is a list of the steps I took in conducting this experiment. I conducted 3 trials for each food group. For simple carbohydrates food group, I chose white bread, no yolk white pasta, and white rice noodles. The simple carbohydrates food group averaged 4.14 cal per gram. For complex carbohydrates food group, I chose cereal, air-popped popcorn, and a potato. The complex carbohydrates food averaged 3.30 calorie per gram. For protein food group, I chose beans, mushrooms, and 95% lean beef. The proteins food group averaged 3.52 calories per gram. This graph represents the average energy released by food groups in my investigation. The data from my experiment did not support my hypothesis, as it shows that proteins, simple and complex carbohydrates, contain approximately the same amount of energy. There are 2 possible explanations for the results obtained in the experiment. First, the results may suggest that even protein molecules is more complex than simple or complex carbohydrates. The energy stored within their bonds are lower than the energy stored within carbohydrate molecules. Second, some food groups samples beside macromolecules from named groups contain macromolecules from other food groups. For example, the mushroom was referred as a source of protein, but besides 26% of protein, it contains 68% of carbohydrates.